In this exercise, you will set up the network to assign a static Internet Protocol or IP address to a computer used by a network administrator. Step 1. Create and start the VMs. First, open PowerShell by clicking the search bar below and typing Hyper-V. Right-click the icon and select Run as Administrator. Enter the administrator username and password. Here on the Hyper-V Manager tab, there aren't any defined Hyper-V, so we're going to create them using PowerShell. Go to the Windows button again and start typing PowerShell. Run as administrator. Enter the administrator username and password. Eventually, we come up to this One Windows PowerShell. We're going to navigate first to the root of C by typing cdc/ and hitting Enter. Used ls for list. It shows all the folders that are inside. To navigate to BIS files, we're going to type cd space BIS. Press Tab and there's another folder we want to go to, which is the PowerShell folder. We're going to type POW and hit Tab. Type ls, and you'll see a list of PowerShell scripts. We want to run wanlan_creator_vm.ps1 and admin_office_net_create_vm.ps1. The easiest way to run script, that is to begin typing the name of the wanlan_creator_vm, then hit Tab button and Enter. The screen goes on as the PowerShell script reports out on its actions. A moderately complicated PowerShell script that configures all the details needed to run a Hyper-V VM. Then we're going to create our second Hyper-V machine. Type admin, hit Tab and Enter. That's done as create two virtual machines. Back to the Hyper-V Manager. Let's look just for a moment at the settings at admin_OfficeNet. Go to Settings. Or we can right-click and Settings. As often as the case, there's many ways to accomplish things. Go to the Office Net interface. Click the little plus sign to expand for details and click on an Advanced Features. We'll see that a static MAC address has been assigned for this device, and it's 00AD12345567. What it is in detail isn't important, except that we will use this particular MAC address as part of the lab as we assign a static IP address to it. Next, we want to start our machines, and again, there's a number of ways to do that. First, I can click on this and go to Start. The second, I can click and go to Connect. Get it up there. And again, to get my view just right this time, I'm going to do Custom and tell it to go 75%. While that one's starting up, we're also going to start our other machine. And here we can do it again several ways. We can, for example, right-click and do Start, and then right-click and do Connect. I kind of favor double-clicking on it and then clicking Start. Lots of ways to get it done. Get it up there. And again, to get my view just right this time, I'm going to do Custom and tell it to go 75%. The router machine is now completely booted up. You'll see in the box there that the WAN connection WAN wide area network has been assigned an IP address, and that IP address will change from time to time as different features come into play in the underlying infrastructure. The second network segment, the LAN segment or local area network segment, has been assigned a network range of 10.0.1.1 with a 24-bit mask. This means is that all the machines on this network will have 10.0.1.1 and something else as their IP address. We'll need to know that later. That was configured in a previous lab. This particular figuration, one WAN and one LAN, is fairly typical of something you might see at a home network or a small office network. Now to log into our admin machine. We're going to click on this particular user isadmin01 and use the password admin pass capital ADMIN capital PASS. So I hit the enter key and it's starting up that machine. Now that machine is started up, we can look to see what's happening with this network connection. Click on this little network symbol up here. Go to Wired Connection, Wired Settings. We see this one wired connection which is virtually wired, but still a wired connection. We're going to click on the settings, and you'll see an IP address of 10.0.1.3, which is right at the beginning of the IP range assigned for DHCP for this LAN segment. And you'll notice our familiar hardware address 001AD123 for 567. The purpose of this lab is to have the router assign a static IP address to this machine, because we're going to use this machine for specific network functions later. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to use this machine to open up a web page and connect to what's called the web configurator. For WAN LAN machine, this is the router, and there's lots of settings that can be done, and we're going to address a very few today. To do that, we use the browser Firefox on admin machine. We open up the browser and we tell it to navigate to that particular machine's IP address. The web configurator is exposed on 10.0.1.1 IP address by that router using HTTPS protocol and hit enter. Click Advanced, then accept the risk and continue. When we get here, we're going to put in a username. The username is admin. The password pfsense is pfsense. It's the default, and you should always change the default password on any machines as you put them into deployment. We're going to sign and tell it not to save the password. We're going to go here to this, what we call a hamburger menu. Going to go to Status and Dashboard right here. We're going to page down and accept the conditions. Move, and you can see at the bottom that there are two interfaces, a WAN interface and a LAN interface. WAN for Wide Area Network connecting to the outside world, to the internet. In the LAN interface, which is where devices will connect. Your house is probably set up a lot like this. Or apartment, a WAN connection that connects to the outside world. And then a LAN connection that handles all the devices within your home. And it's just probably used in small organizations. So that's where we're starting for our configuration. Now we're going to configure DHCP for the LAN, or as we refer to our architecture, the OfficeNet. The OfficeNet segment is the users. Devices connect for basic purposes. So we go first to this hamburger menu again. Then we go to Services and to the DHCP service. Please take a look. This is the service that turns on the ability to assign IP addresses to machines that connect on a particular LAN network segment. You'll notice here, we're on the tab for LAN. The only tab that has DHCP service enabled. I want to make sure that it is enabled. We go down here, we can look at some of these settings, and we're going to change the range. Right now it's set from 10.0.1.3 to 10.0.1.254. So all of the available IP addresses except for point 1 and point 2 are assigned to this general DHCP pool. What we're going to do is going to limit that down. So the general devices only connect up to 100. Our chosen network architecture depends on organizational preferences. What we're saying is regular devices have numbers below 100. And as we begin to assign servers, we're going to, or special static IP addresses, will assign them above 100. We're going to make it 99 so nobody accidentally uses 100. Down at the bottom and click Save button, which is just above the static mapping section. Go back down here to the bottom. Click Add. Then we're going to click Copy MAC address 001AD12345567. We know that this is the MAC address assigned to this particular machine. And what we're going to do is we're going to set this to use a static IP address of 10.0.1.101. That means at any time a machine with this MAC address authenticates to this router over the CyberLab WAN router, it will assign it this IP address. Now going to all the way down here and save again. And this time we need to do this button here, which is Apply Changes. WAN LAN router interface will notice that it's logging down here. At the bottom it says successful login for user admin from 10.0.1.3. This is good. It's important that routers and network devices keep logs of who has logs in, particularly as admin, because they can make changes. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to see if this is working. We're going to go up here, go to Wired Connections and Wired Settings again. And we're going to turn off the connection. Turn it back on again. Go to Settings again. And look at that. The IP address that's assigned now is 10.0.1.101. We've now told it if you see this MAC address on this LAN segment, assign it this IP address. Now we'll be able to recognize this device separately. That's all of the step. Good luck.